The same week that 4.2 launched to live, 4.2.1 went straight into testing, and now just over 2 weeks past that, PTU has a set of new features and balance changes that are almost worthy of their own major patch, so they're definitely worthy of a look here. This is University of Stanton. Class is in session. Over the last couple of weeks, Star Citizen Alpha 4.2.1 has been on a journey through 9 public builds, starting with just a single Evocati patch and opening almost immediately to all backers, which is starting to seem like the norm now. The so-called Year of Stability is still the key focus, though it sits humbly at the bottom of the notes. Over 30 different crashes and deadlocks have been quashed so far in total, which, if you look back at previous cycles, is kinda huge for a 2-week span. But we've also got some major gameplay shifts on the horizon. The Second Life Resource Drive event is coming and has been getting consistent polishing, and the rewards for it look pretty good. If there's anyone that deserves some love for the breakdown of this kind of event and its rewards, it's MrKraken, who you can find posting great one-page guides on the RSI Community Hub and on his channel here on YouTube, but not always making it past the anal retentive mods on Reddit. A new escort mission type was introduced earlier on in the cycle and now appears to be in for good. This is a different flavor of escort mission where you actually ensure that a ship makes it into or out of a hangar at an asteroid base, which sounds like a fun change. I wonder if you get to report the NPCs for griefing when they ram the target in the hangar. The Wicklow recipe system has of course caught a major change away from crummy random gacha, with rewards now being deterministic, which is a fancy way of saying you know what you're going to get. You know, like you usually do in a quest in a video game. CIG has mentioned that they want to accept containers that hold multiple items for turn-in, something they've brought up before, but this still likely isn't in the cards for 4.2.1. Cut them some slack, it was only recently they had to figure out how to let us see what's inside containers. A lot of salvagers were probably already loving 4.2, it made salvaging a little more financially viable again, but another little adjustment's coming now, with the Reclaimer's efficiency being reduced while the Vulture and Fortune get a buff, and this is, interestingly, not a change to their modules, but an overall extraction efficiency modifier applied to the ship itself. I understand wanting to balance things out a bit, but as usual, this is a sledgehammer stroke that turns a fun for some, somewhat profitable venture into a fun for none, worth nothing one. There's no reason to be nerfing Reclaimer profitability into the ground just as it gets another upgrade, which we'll talk about shortly. Check in the comments for a Spectrum thread you can weigh in on and try to change this. Haulers can also breathe a sigh of relief as the anxiety-inducing list of hauling missions is finally being split into 3 collapsible categories in the contract list: small, supply, and bulk grade. Small, medium, large would have been just fine, but this is also the game where you have to go to a tier 3 hospital for a tier 1 injury or some shit. We're not known for nomenclature that makes any sense. Meanwhile, at the refinery terminal, costs for most goods have been reduced and the cost to discard materials has been removed entirely. I haven't looked to see how much this is because I don't mind unless there's a very good reason for it. The zone around stations is changing quite a bit as well. Station defenses have been buffed with increased health and damage output for size 10 stationary turrets. Guess they never accounted for a fucking Idris camping them. As well as making sure they'll continue firing no matter what until that weapon base is actually destroyed. There's also a new anti-trespassing system which will now teleport uninvited players out of ships that are within station ATC range, about 5 kilometers. Kinda weird? Maybe if they just settled for that feature actually working in hangars like it was supposed to, we wouldn't be here. I get the intent, but I think this is going to kill a lot more good organic interaction than people think it is, and I'm holding my breath to see what nonsensical bugs emerge from it to make it even worse. And most recently, as of last night, we've had some increases to the difficulty of the Apex Valakar encounter, with awareness, aggressiveness, range, and damage all being upped. And the RSI Mantis is back on the menu, with PvP Quantum Interdiction being re-enabled in hopes that it now works despite the server boundaries. Also, there's a Volt Pistol. Yay. We're also getting some more minor but welcome quality of life updates. The Cycle Friendlies targeting option now only cycles through non-hostile targets, so what it was supposed to do. For your eye adaptation pleasure, the brightness of the hand mining beam has also been slightly reduced. The carrying capacity for all backpacks has been moderately increased. Two-handed carryables are now thrown upwards during a takedown instead of being dropped, and countermeasures are now enabled in the co-pilot seats of the Asperia Prowler. Ground flight turbulence has been disabled pending a rework of that system and integration into the upcoming new flight model changes that have seen some early testing already. This cycle so far has brought a wave of ship and combat-related changes, including a sweeping set of ship flight tunings. We'll break down exactly who got their speed and maneuverability buffed and who got nerfed in detail shortly, but let's start with the other key ship changes first. Idris turret hit points have finally been brought in line with reality, down to about 10 to 15,000 depending on the hardpoint, which is more akin to the capital turrets we see on the Polaris. They haven't touched the 500,000 hit point engines yet, but hopefully that's coming soon too. The Aegis Reclaimer is now equipped with point defense cannons, 7 of them. That's going to be good for our permanent residents of the Yellow Belt. The Mercury Star Runner gets a boost to its quantum fuel tank and a hit point buff to its critical... Hold on, wasn't that thing just indestructible last patch? The Ares Inferno's SF-7B Gatling has had its bullet spread reduced for better accuracy by 70% to just 0.18. For context, this contains the rounds to a tighter beam than any other weapon you would equip on any ship you own, other than Singe cannons, rocket pods, or PDCs. Coupled with the changes to Idris turrets, this thing could actually present a threat to capital ships in the right hands now. The 400i has an additional size 2 power plant and cooler now. The base Valkyrie has been updated with new doors and door panels from the Asgard variant, the self-destruct timer for the Talon has been increased to 30 seconds, and finally, the executive ship loadouts have been reverted to the previous high-tier components they were always supposed to have. Looking at all the flight model adjustments, we see a significant improvement to maneuverability across many medium fighters, with pitch being the most frequent buff along with piecemeal changes to speeds. The biggest winner by far is the Aegis Saber. It received a major buff to its agility, with its pitch improving from 55 to 62, but balanced with a nerf to yaw, dropping that from 55 to 48. This comes alongside a significant SCM speed increase from 206 to 223, putting it almost in line with the Gladius. On the other end of the spectrum, the entire RSI Constellation line was hit hard, and the endlessly useful Taurus took the brunt of it. Its SCM speed is down to 180 from 200 with the same nerf to boost, and Navmax down from 1000 to 950. The Aquila had the same SCM nerfs, but oddly had its Navmax buffed to 1075. The Phoenix and Andromeda were also nerfed, though not quite as severely, only losing between 10 and 15 on SCM speeds. The Alien Santok Yai saw a massive agility buff with both its pitch and yaw increasing from 51 to 58. The Freelancer MIS and DUR both received SCM speed buffs while the Max was slightly nerfed, and the base Freelancer only saw its top speed increase slightly. The Alien Glaive and Scythe had their agility reworked with the Scythe's yaw jumping from 45 to 52, and several other heavy ships including the Hurricane, Scorpius, Redeemer, F-8 Sea Lightning, Guardian and Guardian MX, Reliant Tana, and Mercury Star Runner all received minor to moderate buffs to their maneuverability. The F-7A Mark II and Super Hornet Mark II had pitch and yaw dropped to 50-40. The Ares Starfighters got a slight increase to SCM and boost. The Herald is up among the fastest ships in the game again, with SCM boost topping out at 670 and Navmax at 1450, and the Retaliator and 400i were also bumped up in SCM and nav speed. Beyond stability, we are seeing fixes for some incredibly frustrating and well-known problems, such as players in EVA being instantly killed when landing on Korea's landing pads, ASOP terminals getting stuck in an infinite loading screen, and players getting a black screen when spawning into a multi-crew turret. However, the known issues section, or rather the lack of movement on it, reveals the persistence of some very stubborn bugs. Several major issues have been on the list since day one of this test cycle, such as vehicle weapons being unusable on ships like the Mirai Fury and Spartan, the freight elevator bug that can cause your cargo to vanish, the situation where modifying your ship pledge deletes any non-stock items you've equipped, and of course the bug that every capital pilot should be aware of: Idris shields still don't correctly stop all laser weapon types. Seeing these items remain on the list across multiple builds is a little discouraging, but we're still nowhere near a live release, so there's time yet. And for a simple 0.1 patch, 4.2.1 is actually bringing quite a lot to the table already. On top of improving stability, it's dramatically rebalancing medium ship combat, introducing new gameplay loops with the resource drive, and giving you a guaranteed path to some sweet ships and loot in the Wicklow contracts. A huge thank you, as always, to our fantastic and growing community, which just recently hit 10,000 subscribers. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell, and if you'd like to support the channel like our other great backers, please consider dropping by our Patreon in the description below, or join our Discord and chat about what you think 4.2.1 will bring. Thanks for watching. This is University of Stanton. Class dismissed.